Hi, welcome back. We at BitWise know most crypto fans feel down this week about what happened to FTX and Alameda. We feel for you for those who are invested. This week we will change up a bit of our learning to share with you our research on some common issues we observed for these fallouts. In this episode, we will not look into the details of each failure but a look at their shared weaknesses and problems and share with you some of our sobering thoughts. We assure you will feel much better and more positive after this sharing. Thank you. They are all creme de la creme in the world of crypto projects and seem to be too big to fail. Sounds familiar? Ring any bells? Like the 2008 Lehman Brothers? Sam with FTX and Alameda are superstars lobbyists in Washington, D.C. Terra Luna's algorithm stablecoin UST once consider the blue chips in crypto world, famous crypto hedge fund 3 Arrows Capital 3AC, and Celsius, a leading cryptocurrency saving and lending platform. They all fell spectacularly from grace, which will leave a massive stain, bad taste and shockwave on the entire crypto industry. What do they all have in common? They all inherited similar flaws from the traditional finance system. Recycling and reusing the same ancient old problems will only lead to similar failures. Mismanagement, incompetence, and possibly criminality were decision-making in a few leaders' hands exposed to corruption or selfish interest. Over-leveraged in risky trading and involved in over-collateralized of their crypto assets by repeating borrowing and lending actually happened to TradFi's legacy fractional banking system. Try to learn more about fractional banking to help you understand better. Breach of trust and fiscal strategy from regulated businesses, corporations and centralized organizations. It's great to have young entrepreneurs, and it's okay to have inexperienced people with great visions and dreams and pursue innovation. Once you're given the money, you have to bring together a diverse team of people and have that team of people work with you to build something great. If you look at things like an exchange or a trading desk or something where you have a fiduciary responsibility for other people's money, it's axiomatic, and it's the first thing you do as an entrepreneur. Now the absence of this doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to fail or not be able to survive. You can certainly find ways to rise to the occasion, but it's true that, on average, if you need surgery, it's probably a pretty good idea to go to a qualified surgeon instead of somebody who stayed at a Holiday Inn, and too much of this has happened in the industry whether we look at Celsius, whether we look at Mt. Gox and the qualified people there. They are reputable financial professional, banking experts, gurus, MIT graduate, some of the brightest mind of the generation. These institutions have failed, generally speaking, when you look at it. It's a people, procedure and process problem as much as it is a flawed business idea. Standards, regulation, and oversight do tend to help from the perspective of forcing you either through soft power like memberships or hard power through explicit regulation and getting at least to that statement of safety. It is important to point out that this was not an unregulated business, and there have been enormous amounts of discussion about how cryptocurrency should react. Look at unregulated cryptocurrency. This is frankly a centralized business failing. Bitcoin was not hacked, Ethereum was not hacked, and neither was Cardano. None of the big chains was hacked. Crypto didn't fail, people failed, and people in positions of trust. At the end of the day, as much as we like to believe in the principles of cryptocurrency, this had everything to do with people putting their money in centralized exchanges and organizations and trusting centralized businesses to do something on their behalf. That's the very industry we're trying to get rid of with the cryptocurrency space. Unfortunately, it will now be conflated, and there's a very high possibility. The fallout of this will be new legislation, hopefully decent legislation, but there's a strong possibility that it won't be as members of this industry. Unfortunately, when you have people who don't know what they're doing, they get into positions of power and trust and create cascading and catastrophic damage. The existential threat to the stability of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. Unfortunately, crypto doesn't get a bailout. Our competitors do. TradFi. They'd already be calling up their buddies in government, saying, how big of a check can we haggle over? With crypto, we don't get that. We get the privilege of cleaning up the mess and then being blamed for it and having to deal with the financial outcome ourselves. This is not going to kill cryptocurrency. I do believe that our industry will be much stronger in the future and our best days are still ahead of us. This said, unlike Mt. Gox, Celsius, Luna, and past events, FTX has the unique property that it could end up being the straw that breaks the camel's back and changes, at least in the short to mid-term, how cryptocurrencies work in America and abroad. In particular, it changes lawmakers' appetite for giving the industry a pro-growth freedom mandate. The future of crypto? We could look at a world where non-custodial wallets are no longer permitted. We could look at a world where every cryptocurrency except for Bitcoin is labeled as security and forced to comply with onerous regulations which will rob them of liquidity and not provide any consumer protections or investor protections. A reminder here also that a huge amount of tech stocks are down 90% this year. Crypto is not alone, the market always reset when overheated. The concern is that we could see a mass consolidation of the regulated infrastructure in this industry towards the hands of just a few players who will form an oligarchy that cannot displace the original of Satoshi's vision. Not saying this will happen, I'm saying that the probability of these types of things happening is now greater as a direct result of the failure of the Big Four. At what point does the industry stand up and say we've had enough? Things need to change and we need to think of a new path forward. New industry standards may emerge from this failure based on the Decentralization Index to measure the decentralization of exchange, DeFi best practices, smart contract security standards, ethical functionality, and proof of reserve standards, to name a few important here. Industry players need to wise up and understand that nothing is for free in life. You cannot get massive returns and massive yields, they have to come from somebody. The big surge of shitcoins doesn't make any sense. People are participating in it because it so perfectly epitomizes the attitude of getting rich quickly. Every single person jumping in was doing so because they had a mistaken belief that they could double, triple, or quadruple their money in a matter of days, weeks, or months, and the vast majority of them lost it. That mentality will end the cryptocurrency space if it's preserved and maintained. The goal is to focus on the use, utility, adoption, and the fact that this industry can fundamentally transform and change things. There's no way we will get to a point when everybody is banked and have financial freedom, liberty, and self-sovereignty with blockchain technology and crypto. Both can't be separate. If you have only blockchain, you have big multinational corporations followed by monopolies. Our current systems are terrible in the position of trust. No matter who they are, somehow or some way, they will become the agent for bad than good. This world is falling apart from unsustainable practices, corrupted institutions, and broken systems. That's the mission of blockchain, to be immutable. It can't be changed. This is what Satoshi wants to fix inside his white paper. The power blockchain and crypto ecosystem is the first time in our lives to have an opportunity to make a difference, do things differently, think differently, and change the game's rules to be fairer to everyone. Blocks are still being produced on blockchains, and great projects are still being built. If you believe in technology, then you must believe that this will eventually pass, but we must all push for change, and we can't let this sort of stuff keep happening. Lessons must be learned. Bitcoin was invented because Satoshi saw how broken our current financial system was and still is, but the crypto industry as a whole has forgotten this and has moved ever closer to what Satoshi wished to destroy. Centralized entities are misusing customer funds, opaque financial institutions are doing shady stuff with unfathomable self-interest, and incompetent rich dudes are holding all the power with none of the oversight. None of this has any place in crypto. Crash and burn it. Only we can get our house in order, and that process has to start today. We will end this episode with these sobering thoughts. Our hearts go out to all who have suffered from these fallouts. It sucks, we know, we're invested too. In times like this, despair and anxiety can creep up on you. You might even feel your future is ruined. But we urge you to think otherwise. Your life is precious, more than your stock, bonds, crypto, property, gold, or whatever. Chances are you have people that love you. These could be your friends, family, or loved ones, maybe even internet people you have never met like us in BitWise. It's possible you can rebuild your life. It won't be easy, but more than possible. So take time to mourn your losses and collect your thoughts. Don't rush it. There's nothing wrong in being sad for a while, but once you're ready, dry your tears and start rebuilding. Stay strong. You are not alone in this.